In this quiet moment, I invite you to join me with an open heart, yearning for solace and spiritual comfort. Let us embark on a slow and gentle journey together. I settle across from you. A small lamp casts soft light. The Bible rests in my lap. My voice is low. My words move like a slow river. Breathe in. Breathe out. Let the room soften. Notice the weight of the day. Let it rest on the floor like a coat. I do not rush. I do not press. I simply guide. The night wraps around the windows like a shawl. The air feels cool. The breathing settles. I speak from a place of calm. I read for those who cannot sleep. I read to steady the heart. I do not demand answers. I offer presence. I bring to you the gentle echoes of John's teachings, not as a lesson to solve problems, but as a lantern to light a worried path. Think of love as a steady light. It does not flare or flicker with every breeze. It remains. It warms rather than scorches. That is the kind of love I share with you tonight. It arrives in quiet ways. It does not shout. It draws near in the hush. Imagine a hand that rests upon your forehead. It feels cool and kind. Imagine a voice that does not hurry. It says you are seen. You are cared for. You are not alone. Let that image linger. Let it ease the tension behind the eyes. I speak of rest that answers the ache of sleeplessness. This rest is not a forced stop. It is a gentle lean into something steady. It is like lying in a boat that drifts on a calm lake. The boat rocks, but remains safe. The waters keep you. The sky watches without hurry. Hear these thoughts as a soft tide. The tide brings forgiveness like smooth pebbles. Each pebble removes a small weight. You do not carry shame tonight. Mercy comes quietly. It slips under the door and settles at your feet. Let it stay there. Let it cover the sharp things. Light can come into the darkest room. Imagine a single candle in a cold place. The candle shows edges, soft shapes, small colors. It reveals a path. John's words lead like that candle. They name what is true love. Presence. Peace. They do not argue. They simply shine. When worry arrives, it often speaks with many sharp voices. It imagines worse things in bright detail. Let each worry be a cloud passing before the moon. Watch it move. Notice the air that remains behind it. The air does not change when the cloud passes. That air is the steady calm I point to. I describe a promise that feels like a harbor. It protects ships from storms. That promise is a place of shelter. It is not distant. It stands close by. Lean into that shelter. You do not need to hold the whole world tonight. Rest a little while. I read to you of a peace that settles into bones. It is not just quiet around you. It becomes quiet within, where the mind once raced. A small quiet opens like a hidden room. Enter that room slowly. Feel the pace slow. Let the shoulders unknit. There is a tenderness here that meets failure with kindness. It does not list mistakes like a ledger. It places a warm cloth on the wound. It knows the name of each sorrow and names none in judgment. Mercy moves over broken places like soft light. Imagine your life as a path through forest. You have walked long, your feet ache. Behind you, the trail wears with history. Ahead, the trees multiply and the path narrows. Pause. Sit on a stone. A companion sits beside you. This companion does not tell you to hurry. This companion rests with you. The company itself is the comfort. The companion's presence gives space to breathe. I speak in small, clear sentences. I paint simple images. They are easy to carry to sleep. Let them be the last things your mind touches before it drifts. Let them be the small pillows for your thoughts. Tell yourself that fear can be named and then released. Naming it makes it less sharp. Say to it, silently, that you do not have to fight alone. A steady presence stands with you. You are not expected to solve everything tonight. When the body tightens, I guide you to a slow exhale. Breathe out the tension. Imagine it leaving like steam from warm water. Watch the chest fall. The breath becomes a metronome. It sets a slow, patient rhythm. I hold space for silent prayer in the middle of this calm. No long words required. A simple offering of the heart is enough. Give the small burdens to the steady presence. Feel them shift. They become light. They become easier to hold. Thoughts about the future often creep in. They pull at the hem of the present. I encourage you to fold them gently. Set them on a shelf for tomorrow. Tomorrow has its own light. Tonight is for rest. Tonight is for replenishing strength. Love reaches in small ways. It offers a hand to the trembling. It does not demand performance. It simply sustains. In John's way, love is practical and kind. It heals without loud declarations. It repairs by staying near. If loneliness presses like a thin sheet, imagine a large blanket spread over you. It fits your shoulders. It warms your hands. It bears your weight without complaint. Loneliness loosens its grip. The blanket of presence becomes familiar and safe. I guide you to imagine a doorway. Step through it slowly. On the other side is calm. The air tastes like soft rain. The ground is steady beneath your feet. This doorway marks the threshold between anxious wakefulness and gentle rest. Cross it at your own pace. When doubts arrive, sit with them like visitors. Observe them without arguing. They move through the room and then leave. In their place, a small lamp remains. Its flame is quiet and warm. Let that lamp be your steady light. I invite a posture of surrender that is not weakness. Surrender here is trust. It is the willing placing of burdens into a hand that is sure. This is a simple act. It can be done with one slow breath. Try it now. Breathe in. Breathe out. Offer the burden as you exhale. The present comfort is not a quick fix. It is a steady practice. Return to it like a child, returning to a guardian at dusk. Each return softens the worry. Each return mends a restless place. Mercy is inside each small action. The kindness you receive here is not earned by performance. It is given freely. Accept it as you would accept shelter in a storm. Let it wrap around you fully. Hope appears like first light. It creeps in thin and pale. It promises a new day without forcing today to end quicker than it must. Hope speaks gently. It reminds that nights pass and mornings come. It does not promise that everything will be easy, only that something good watches over the night. I read parts of John for their tone more than their argument. The images in those passages hold a hush. They bring words about light, about love, about abiding near. They speak of rest for tired souls. I choose them slowly. I let them unfold like petals. You might feel restless even as you hear these words. That is all right. Rest is sometimes slow to come. Keep breathing. Keep listening. Let my voice be the steady metronome you follow. The body learns rhythm from what it hears. If grief opens up, let it out in small drops. Cry if needed. Tears are not weakness. They are the body's way of cleaning what clogs the heart. After crying, the face feels lighter. The chest loosens. The air becomes easier. Imagery can be a gentle scaffold for sleep. Picture a small pool in a garden. The surface mirrors the stars. No fish disturb it. No clanging sound intrudes. It holds reflection and stillness. You lie near it. The cool of the night is gentle. A breeze brushes your cheek. You doze. The stars keep time. I will read for as long as you need. My voice will not become sharp. It will not hurry. I guide you into a place where the heartbeat finds a softer tempo. The Bible rests open like a friend's hand. I turn pages slowly. Each page offers a fresh calm. I do not press you to understand deep answers. Tonight is not for debate. It is for ease. It is for assurance that mercy exists. It is for hope that does not overwhelm, but steadies. As the eyelids grow heavy, let the final thoughts be simple. Love that holds you now holds the coming hours. Peace that nestles in the bones tonight remains through the sleep. Mercy meets each morning too. But you need not wait to feel it now. I finish this part of the reading by inviting a final breath with me. Inhale gently. Hold for a count. Exhale with a long, slow release. Let the shoulders drop. Let the jaw unclench. Feel the pulse ease. Now rest. Let the presence remain. I stay a while, reading quietly, turning pages like soft footsteps. If sleep comes, it comes without judgment. If it does not, the steady light remains. Either way, peace is near. When you wake, you will carry a small residue of this calm. Let that residue direct the first step of the day. Carry the quiet like a small stone in the pocket. It will remind you that mercy and hope are near. I leave you now in that gentle place. My voice grows softer. The lamp stays low. The Bible closes with care. Rest safely. Sleep kindly. Peace be with you as the night keeps watch. I open the Bible again and let the pages fall where the light rests. My fingers find John. I turn slowly. The words come soft and deliberate. I read them for their calm. I let them land like a small stone in still water. John speaks of life and light. He says, life is present there. That life serves as light for people. The light shines into places where the night feels thick. The dark does not swallow that light. It meets darkness and remains. Those lines are simple. They move like a steady river. Hear them as a balm. Hear them without weighing them down with questions. Tonight is not for argument. It is for rest. The images in John are small lamps. They offer a clear glow. They point toward mercy and assurance. That is all I aim to hold up for you tonight. Imagine now a single lamp set on a wooden table. The lamp has a glass bowl. Its glow is not harsh. It warms the air nearby. The table shows a soft ring of light. Beyond that ring, the room is shadowed, but not frightening. The lamp's light does not chase every shadow. It need only show enough for peace. Let that image hold. Picture a lantern on a porch in late autumn. The wind moves the leaves, and the lantern moves not much at all. It stands steady against the draught. You pass by, and your breath fogs the air. The lantern's flame sees your face. It recognizes you. It does not judge your hurry. It only keeps watch. Let that watching be for you now. Think of life as a hidden ember under cold ash. The ember glows faintly at first. It holds potential. With breath and gentle tending, it grows warmer. A soft warmth meets your palm when you cup it. This warmth does not burn. It soothes. This is the kind of life John names. It exists before the obvious fire appears. It is patient and sure. The light arrives in steady ways. It steadies the sudden flinch of fear. It calms the racing mind. Each small breath lets the light sit more fully in the chest. Breathe in slowly. Imagine inhaling this light. Feel it meet the ribs and spread. Breathe out slowly. Let tension loosen like a knot untying itself. Hold the image of a lighthouse on a foggy coast. The world around looks uncertain. Waves make soft thunder. The lighthouse gives one reliable arc of light. Ships do not have to see everything. They need only that guiding sweep to find a safe path. Think of tonight as that beam. It does not promise a map of everything. It yields a way through the near dark. This light is not fragile. It does not flicker with every thought. Even when fear gathers, it continues to shine. The claim that darkness does not overcome it offers a quiet assurance. Dark things can press and sigh. They can seem larger in the mind than they are. Yet the light remains. It holds space for breathing and for small rest. I invite you to imagine the light moving inward. It starts as a thin thread at the throat. It moves down the spine. It warms the belly. It reaches the lungs. Each breath invites the movement. The shoulders uncurl. The jaw softens. The eyelids grow heavier. This is a gentle house cleaning. Worries slip into the corners and lose their sharp edges. When the night is full of questions, allow the light to answer only with presence. Presence is not a detailed explanation. Presence is a hand that sits beside the heart. It does not pull or push. It simply rests there, steadying the rhythm. Resting in that presence requires no performance. It asks only to be received. Mercy comes with the light. It is quiet and practical. Mercy does not shout. It brings small mercies, a softened memory, a relief from a tightness. a tender forgetting of a harsh word. Imagine mercy as a soft cloth that covers a bruise. The cloth does not erase the bruise instantly. It cools the ache. In time, the bruise eases. That is the pace of mercy at night. Hope rides on that light like a small bird. It perches lightly. It does not demand a fast future. It only suggests that another morning will come. The promise is not that everything will be made simple by dawn. The promise is that dawn will return with possibilities. Let that be enough for tonight. I speak now of the quiet knowledge that life sustains. Imagine a plan route under soil. The ground seems asleep. Roots still reach and drink. Life continues even in what looks still. This is what John points toward. Life exists beneath the still surface. It is tending, even when the eye cannot see. That steady tending supports the slow rest of the day. Let the mind hold a single phrase as a soft companion. The light continues. Say it slowly in your head. Allow it to repeat like a lullaby. With each repetition, the body responds. The breathing steadies further. The mind relaxes in small increments. It is not necessary to keep track of time. Time itself softens in the presence of that steady refrain. If fear tries to shape itself into a flood, imagine a small dam. The dam is notice. It names one fear at a time. Naming a fear does not feed it. It simply places it where the light can see it. The light on the other side of the dam begins to warm the fear. The fear loses some of its cold edge. It becomes manageable. Tonight is not for solving everything. It is for making space. I guide you to picture a small child asleep in a quiet room. A parent sits near, breathing softly. The child stirs and finds the hand and settles again. Safety is not louder than the stir. Safety is closer. Let that closeness be what rests. Now, the hand is steady. The breath near the ear is a metronome. Sleep follows in the rhythm. Gentle images like these act as anchors. They do not run the mind in circles. They give it something soft to hold. The mind often needs a simple task. Follow a light. Watch a slow breath. Keep returning your attention to the light moving inward. Do not push. Do not fret if it wanders. Guide it back, like bringing a small boat back to shore. The Bible's words here do their work quietly. They are not a list of demands. They are an offering. They wrap the listener in a familiar cadence of hope. Hope here is an easy chair by a window. The window looks to a garden. The garden will change with seasons. For this night, the garden provides a view that calms. Rest in that chair for a while. There is a tenderness in knowing that the light notices small things. It sees the trembling hands. It recognizes the list inside your head. It holds those things without making a show of them. That way of holding relieves the weight of having to do it all. You are not alone in the dark. A light watches and stays. Now I invite a deeper breath. Inhale slowly, counting to 3 in your mind. Hold 1 beat. Exhale slowly, counting to 5. Let the longer exhale draw out the tightness. Repeat. The rhythm becomes a soft tide. The light inside moves with each wave. The body remembers how to soften. If tears come, Allow them. They are a quiet spool of release. Tears do not shame the sleeper. They clear the windows of the heart. After a few tears, the view brightens. The light looks clearer. The breath finds room. Surrender the idea that strength means not crying. Strength can also mean allowing the body to do its gentle work. I stay here with these images. My voice is a low current. The Bible rests open at John. The lamp is still on the table. Its glow is small, but constant. I do not rush the night. I do not hurry the rest. I follow the same slow tempo as the breath. Tonight's assurance does not erase complexity. It offers company in it. It does not promise a life without trouble. It promises a steadiness within the trouble. That steady thing is near enough to lean on for the length of a night. Lean now. Do not measure your lean. Simply place your weight and feel the support. I leave you with one last scene. Picture a long hallway with small lights along the sides. You walk slowly. The lights mark each step. Each step brings you closer to a quiet room with a bed. The bed is warm and ready. The lights do not hurry you. They remind you that you are guided. You reach the bed. You lie down. The lights continue to glow softly beside the path, even as you close your eyes. I close the book gently for a moment, but keep the lamp where it is. The light remains. The life John speaks of continues. It is near you now. Let your final breaths mirror the calm you have welcomed. Breathe in light. Breathe out tension. Allow sleep to come in its own time. I stay a little longer, listening to the small sounds of the room. If sleep arrives, it does so without pressure. If it does not, the light still stays. Either way, mercy embraces the moment. Hope hums quietly at the edge. Rest settles in. Sleep, when it comes, is safe. When you wake, take with you a small memory of this light. Keep it like a pebble in a pocket. Let it remind you that darkness does not have the last word. The light continues. Its glow follows you into the morning. For now, let the night keep you. Let the steady light watch over the dark. I remain, reading softly, until you drift. I turn another page and let the quiet settle again. The lamp breathes a small circle of light. My hand rests on the open Bible. I read not to solve, but to hold. I speak softly about why this light can be trusted. I speak in simple reasons. Each reason is like a small stone to set by the bedside. First, the light is not a thing that appears and vanishes at whim. It has a source that keeps giving, like a well that never runs dry. I point to that steadiness. The lamp on the table is fed each night. It does not flicker because of mood. It shines because its source is sure. That is one quiet reason to find peace. Second, the light reaches where we cannot. It finds the corners we avoid. It sits in drawers where old worries sleep. It slips into the tight places behind the ribs. Picture a gentle hand guiding a small thread through a dark sleeve. The thread finds its way. Light moves like that. It passes into places that sound and thought miss. It brings warmth that the head cannot manufacture alone. Third, The light keeps watch without demanding. It sits beside the bed like a steady companion. The companion does not tally sins. It does not list failures. The only task is staying near. The watching itself calms the nerves. A shadow can seem large when no one watches it. With a watchful lamp, the shadow is given shape and loses its power to terrify. Fourth, the light is patient with small progress. Healing often comes like dawn. It is not a sudden blaze. It arrives in stages. Night thins, then slips, then bows away. I have seen this in small ways. A tight jaw eases over weeks. Nightmares soften over months. A heavy memory quiets after repeated kindness. The light honors slow time. It keeps its rhythm even when we stumble. Fifth, the light has shown itself in living memory. Think of a time when a small kindness changed the day. A neighbor who brought soup. A stranger who smiled in a hard line of traffic. A hand that held steady in a hospital corridor. These are small sparks of the same light. They are proof. Not loud, but real. They stand as quiet witnesses that care enters the world. Sixth, the light works in the small and in the humble. It is not a thunderclap of answers. It is soft acts. A wrapped foot on a cold night. A whispered blessing in a hospital ward. A cup of water given without notice. These small mercies pattern the larger promise. The light's language is often the language of common things. That familiarity makes it possible to accept the comfort now. Seventh, the light invites trust without coercion. It does not compel a sudden leap. It offers a hand. You can take it or not. The choice itself is part of gentleness. I offer that hand in the reading. I do not push. I only point. In the dark, handholds restore balance. They do not erase the path. They let us walk with steady steps. Eighth, the light reaches past explanations. Sometimes questions crowd the room. Why this pain? Why this delay? The light does not force a full answer. It offers presence in the middle of the question. Presence does not always explain. Presence carries. Imagine a boat in fog. The captain cannot see the entire route. The crew still feels the steady knot of the mooring that keeps them safe. Presence holds the same way. Ninth, the light tends to the body as well as the mind. It asks for slow breaths. It asks for rest. It is practical. Try a pattern. Breathe in for 3 counts. Hold 1. Breathe out for 5. Let the long exhale pull the tension away. The light takes hold when the body relaxes. It is patient with aches and with long histories of sleeplessness. Gentle practices make space for the light to sit. 10th, the light is not impressed by the size of the darkness. It meets a vast night with the same steady glow. A candle changes a cavern. By the same rule, it changes a small room. The candle does not need to illuminate everything. It simply shows enough. This is freeing. It means a single, soft assurance can change how the night feels. You do not need a flood of certainty tonight. A small, familiar light suffices. 11th, the light shares its strength through community. You are not kept alone as a solitary candle. Others keep their lamps too. Across the months and years, many small lights link into a path. Memory forms a chain. The kindness of others becomes a ladder out of despair. Remember a time someone stayed with you through a long night. That shared watch is part of the same light now. 12th. The light remembers the small beginnings. Seeds buried in cold soil keep life inside. They do not look like much under winter snow. Yet spring arrives. The memory of growth is in the seed. The light carries a similar memory. It does not forget the small acts of mercy. They remain ready to bloom into strength again. This memory is a kind of promise. It quietly assures that care returns. 13th. The light does not remove free will. It respects the choice to rest or to hold on. Rest here is voluntary. It is a willing leaning. This respect makes rest safer. It is not imposed. It is invited. You accept when ready. The invitation itself is mercy. Gentle and patient. 14th. The light meets the sharp places with tenderness. When a wound exists, the light brings soothing, not scolding. Imagine a nurse bathing a tender scrape. The water is warm. The touch is careful. The wound does not have to be explained. Care begins with gentleness. The same happens inside when the inner wound receives a soft presence. The ache does not vanish at once. Soothing helps it be bearable. 15th. The light lives in simple rituals. A hymn hummed softly. A prayer offered in one breath. A page turned slowly. These small acts are anchors. They slow the mind. They restore rhythm. Rhythm itself is healing. Habits like these retrain the body to expect peace. Tonight, the ritual of my reading is one such anchor. The low cadence steadies the thoughts. 16th. The light keeps a certain sense of humor. Not loud, but soft. It does not always prevent mistakes. It sometimes allows small absurdities to remind us that life can still be tender and surprising. A cat that bursts into the room for no reason can break a tight pattern. A sudden bird outside the window at dawn can remind us that beauty pierces gloom without permission. These small interruptions are part of the light's kindness. 17th. The light rests on acts that are repeatable. Mercy is not a single event. It is given again and again. That repetition builds trust. Night after night, the lamp is lit. Day after day, small mercies arrive. Over time, the pattern itself becomes a comfort. It is steady enough to lean on. 18th. The light invites remembrance of past mercies. Think of a time a fear dissolved. Remember the feeling of relief when a heavy meeting ended well. Bring to mind a morning that felt brighter after a long night. Let those memories warm the present. They are proof that light moves through darkness. They are soft evidence that mercy visits again. 19th. The light offers a final kind of safety, the permission to be human. You need not be whole to be near the light. You can be tired, angry, confused. The light does not require a tidy soul. It only asks for the honesty of your small offerings. A whispered "I am tired" is enough. That honesty itself soothes the heart. I guide our breath as I say this. Inhale slowly. Hold. Exhale further. Each breath is a small step toward receiving. The lamp on the table keeps its steady glow. Outside, the night breathes in long. And then out. The room is full of small sounds, a clock, a distant coeur, the soft rustle of pages. These sounds become a gentle net that holds worry. I do not promise that the night ends all troubles. I do promise that the light keeps watch through them. The lamp does not chase every pain away. It arrives beside it. It rests near the ache until the ache can rest too. That is the quiet mercy I read about. It is practical and real. If the mind resists, shift focus to the body. Feel the weight of the blankets at the knees. Notice the way the chest sinks with each breath. Let the scalp unclench. Relax the fingers. Small loosening makes space for the light to move. No force is necessary, just steady attention. Imagine now a small harbor at dusk. Boats lay calm. A single keeper moves along the pier, checking ropes. He does not hurry. Each knot is secure. The keeper's movements are sure. No large words are needed. The harbor is safe because of small, faithful actions. Mercy looks like those actions. It is not always grand. It is often a quiet sequence of careful moves. I stay with these images until the rhythm of your breathing slows. The lamp remains on the table. The pages of the Bible are warmed by the light. No heavy argument is raised. Only soft assurances are given. The presence of the light is the main comfort. When the eyelids finally fold, I wait. I do not speak. I only breathe in time with the quiet. If sleep comes, it does so gently. If it does not, the lamp still keeps watch. The same steady reasons for trust remain. They do not vanish because rest is delayed. Before I close this section, I invite a final silence. In that silence, let the small reasons I named rest like pebbles in your hand. Feel their smooth weight. Know that the light source is steady. Know that it reaches where you cannot. Know that it keeps watch without demand. Know that it heals in small, patient steps. Know that it invites the simple acts that change the night. I close the Bible slowly. The pages make a soft sound. The lamp stays lit. The room holds the hush. I sit and listen for a moment more. The world keeps breathing. Mercy remains near. Hope sits like a small bird on the sill. Calm and untroubled. Rest now. Allow the light to be enough for this night. Let the steady presence be a pillow for the restless mind. I remain here a while, reading softly, until the room breathes the same slow tempo. When morning comes, the light will be there again. Not defeated, not gone. For now, sleep under the quiet watch of a faithful lamp. I open the Bible again and let my finger rest where the paper warms beneath the lamp. The page breathes with the ink. I read slowly. I do not rush the words. Night makes each syllable softer. Tonight I lean toward a promise that unhooks the jaw of shame. The promise says that when things are named and offered, forgiveness comes. It is not earned by long lists or clever words. It comes when truth meets mercy. This is the simple seed I place before you now. Confession here is small. It is not a courtroom confession. It is a quiet naming. It is a brief, honest breath. Call to mind a single hard thing. Do not bring the whole history. Choose a single knot. Hold it in the palm of attention, like a small stone. Notice its weight. That noticing itself is the start of release. Imagine a window that has been shut for many seasons. The glass fogs from exhaled breath. Confession is the opening of that window. Fresh air slips in. The stale smell leaves. The room does not become perfect at once. It simply breathes again. That new air is mercy. It washes the edges, and the mind finds room. I invite a slow practice. Breathe in. Hold the breath for a gentle count. Exhale and name the knot in one soft phrase. Silently. There is no need for clever phrasing. A single word or a short truth is enough. This small ritual does not parade fault. It offers the fact. The act of saying lets the thing leave its hiding place. Forgiveness comes like rain. It is not a loud downpour. It is a quiet blessing that soaks the roots over time. When confession meets mercy, a gentle wetness falls that loosens hard places. Bones that felt brittle find warmth. Thoughts that sharpened against old shame dull enough to sleep. I do not ask for full resolution. I do not promise that every wound disappears. I promise a change in the room. The angle of light shifts. Shame loses some of its power to dominate the view. That shift is enough for rest. It becomes possible to put the heavy thing down for a while and sleep. Think of the heart as a small garden. Some plants wilt under neglect. We tend that garden at night with small hands. Confession is a watering. Forgiveness is the soil softening with the water. Roots relax. New breath can move through the leaves. The gardener does not demand great leaps. The gardener comes steadily. Night after night, when the words of John come to mind, they carry this peace. The promise is not a ticket traded for good behavior. It is a hand offered in darkness. The hand is patient. It does not tally mistakes like coins. It only lifts. Trust in that hand is not blind. It is a warm, visible experience. Many have felt it when they lowered the shoulders and confessed one thing. Self-forgiveness grows from that meeting. It begins as a hesitant sprout. The sprout is fragile. It benefits from a gentle light and a daily routine of breath and kindness. Begin by saying to yourself that you are allowed to be imperfect. Allow a pause between action and worth. The two are not identical. You can be flawed and still held. That separation is a small mercy. I describe a ceremony that is very quiet. Take a small cloth. Fold it slowly. Lay it across the place that aches. The cloth does not erase the mark. It cools it. Fold it once more. Each fold is an act of letting go. The folding is a kind of confession made visible. The cloth is forgiveness taking its first duty. If anger or guilt tightens the throat, try a slow physical release. Place the hand on the sternum. Breathe into the palm. Feel the steady warmth. Imagine a stream of soft light passing from the palm into the chest. The light loosens the tight bands. With each breath, the bands relax. the voice inside that has judged grows quieter. It helps to remember small stories of mercy. Think of a time someone forgave a mistake you feared they would never forgive. Feel that memory like a blanket around the shoulders. Let it remind the mind that forgiveness is available in simple human ways, as well as in the promise you read. Those memories are proof for the night. When shame arrives as an old companion, picture it as a heavy coat. You have worn it so long that seams stick to the skin. Confession is the event of taking the coat off. It may still be cold behind it, but the freedom of the arms matters. Place the coat by the door. The coat does not have to define the room now. You sit lighter. I offer a brief guided moment for confessing. These words are not mandatory. Use them if they help. Breathe in slowly. Name one wrong in a single quiet phrase. Offer it without explanation. Release it on the out-breath. Hold the sensation of release. Rest in the assurance that forgiveness comes when truth meets mercy. Forgiveness also teaches the body to relax. A forgiven body does not fight the night. Muscles that brace against imagined punishments can soften. Sleep returns as pain lines unlace. The chest widens. The pulse finds a calmer path. This is not instant. It is a slow training. Each night of honest small offerings helps the body remember peace. I emphasize gentleness in the mind. Harsh internal voices like to argue longer than necessary. They rehearse worst scenarios. Let those voices speak their pieces into the open, and then watch them leave. Do not join them line for line. Observe them as clouds pass. Let the bright assurance of mercy remain as the steady sky behind. Self-forgiveness does not require forgetting. Memory can be a teacher, not a jailer. Learn what needs learning. Offer the lessons up, and then accept the mercy. Use the knowledge to shape kinder steps tomorrow. Tonight, the work is to allow mercy to do its night work. To soften the memory's sharp edges just enough for rest. I speak to the habit of hiding faults. Hiding tightens the chest. Confession opens the hand. The act of opening is brave and small. It does not require an audience. It can be done in the hush of the room. A simple naming before the lamp is enough. The lamp witnesses, and the promise follows. Mercy finds the named thing and folds it into new light. Sometimes confession feels like a risk. What if naming makes the thing bigger? Usually the opposite happens. Naming often breaks the spell. The night sees the truth and does not punish it further. Instead, the truth fits into the pattern of mercy. A named sorrow becomes a shape the heart can hold. That holding softens fear. If forgiveness seems distant, imagine a river you cannot yet see. You stand on a bank. The sound is faint. You take one step closer. The current touches your toes. The water is not cold enough to shrink you away. It welcomes. There comes a point where the step becomes a gentle wade. The rivers flowed as the rest. Confession is the step. Forgiveness is the river. I read to you about a faithful pattern. The promise in John repeats across the lives of many. It is not a one-time show. It is a habit invested in slow nights and quiet mornings. People come back to it again and again. Each return loosens the fear of not being forgiven. Habit is a kind friend. It sits with you until the heart learns to trust. Mercy and memory can work together, let the memory of a forgiven hurt become a lamp for a later dark. When a similar fear resurfaces, remember how mercy visited before. The mind relaxes around the pattern. This trust is not perfect. It grows in small increments. It becomes a companion for nights. I ask that you accept the practice of brief, honest confession as a nightly habit, if it helps. Begin with one modest thing. Speak it into the quiet. Rest in the knowledge that forgiveness follows. Allow the body to follow suit. Let the muscles loosen. Let the breath lengthen. Let sleep approach with a softer pace. There is space for self-kindness in this practice. Kindness does not excuse careless harm. Kindness acknowledges the mess and helps to fix what can be fixed. It offers a steady tone to speak to the inner critic. Speak to the critic with a voice that offers a hand. The critic hears itself differently then. It quiets more easily. I do not promise a painless night. Some griefs return repeatedly. Some worries take many rounds before their edges dull. The assurance of forgiveness, however, changes the loop. It reduces the urgency to punish. It creates a place where repair is possible. Repair does not always mean full healing tonight. Repair begins with rest. Tonight, I keep the lamp low and the words slow. The Bible remains open to the place where mercy lives. I sit quietly. The room breathes with us. If confession is done, notice the lightness for a moment. If not, carry one small thing to name before sleep. The act itself is a gift. Before I close this part, I encourage a final slow breath. Inhale and feel the mind gather. Hold briefly. Exhale and imagine the named thing drifting from the lips like mist. Let the assurance that follows rest like a warm cloth on the shoulders. Mercy is present. Forgiveness is offered when truth meets it. I lower my voice. The lamp keeps its steady glow. The Bible lies open. Patient, I will stay as long as needed. If sleep arrives, it comes without guilt. If it does not, the mercy remains. For now, let the night keep its gentle watch. I turn the page when you are ready to move on. I open the Bible and find my place again. My fingers rest on the thin page. The room is quiet. The lamp makes a small pool of warmth. I speak softly of a simple truth found in John. God is love. When we live in that love, the love lives in us. The idea settles like a warm shawl. Love here is not a phrase to argue. It is a steady force. It braces rather than booms. It presses close like a familiar hand on the back during a long walk. The strength of it is quiet. It holds without demanding. I recall a friend. The memory comes slow and clear. This person carried a long list of small fears. Fear of failing as a parent. Fear of being unseen. Fear that past mistakes defined every step. Nights stretched long. Sleep was thin and sharp. The heart learned to expect the worst. One evening, when the sky was heavy with rain, the friend came to sit with me. The voice was low. The hands trembled just a little. A small packet of papers lay folded on the knee. It was not a dramatic scene. It was ordinary and real. I did not speak a sermon. I listened. The listening itself was part of the balm. Over weeks, simple things changed the shape of the worry. A neighbor brought soup and stayed for 5 calm minutes. A child placed a small drawing on the table. A phone message offered a single sentence of compassion. No high words, no grand events. The small acts piled, soft as snow. One night, the friend took a breath and spoke a phrase that had been practiced privately for days. It was not a long confession. It was a naming of a single heavy knot. The naming did not unravel everything. It did something else. It placed the weight on a surface and allowed light to fall on it. The friend's shoulders dropped. Tears came. They were quick and clearing. The body responded as if a field had been watered. Muscles uncurled. The mind found a space to breathe. This is what unconditional love does. It does not weigh faults on a ledger. It accepts the story without erasing the fact of the mistakes. In that acceptance, fear loses its edge. The mind stops rehearsing the worst endings. The heart learns to accept a softer story. A friend who felt unworthy began to sleep again. At least a little more. I watch how small mercies act like scaffolding. A hand that steadies a cup becomes a promise. A steady presence in a long night becomes evidence. The friend discovered this truth in tiny fragments. A visit that did not seek to fix. A silence that did not demand explanation. A gaze that simply saw and stayed. Those fragments form a whole. God's love sometimes shows in the ordinary like that. It arrives as patient presence. It arrives without a checklist. It arrives by leaning into the room and staying. This love is not loud. It is consistent. It does not appear only in perfect solutions. It appears in companionable acts that keep the night company. I read passages to hold such images up. They act as reminders. They remind the mind that the world contains shelter. They remind the body that it can relax. Words do not always change the circumstances. They change the context in which the circumstances sit. This change is often enough for the night. There is a kind of bracing in being known and accepted. Imagine a cliff face cut by wind and rain. A rope runs from top to bottom. It is not new. It is worn. The rope still holds. You can trust the rope enough to ease down a step or two. The rope of love does not require perfection to function. It simply answers when a hand grasps it. The friend I remember found ways to accept that rope. Acceptance began with a small ritual each night before sleep. A short practice took shape. A breath in. A slow release. A statement made silently. I am not alone. The phrase is not a magic key. It is a steady habit. It alters the rhythm of the heart. It loosens the tight places. Fear lessens not in a single night, but in repeated small turns. The mind learns new choreography when an old worry appears. The hand reaches for the rope. The breath slows. The heart notices the support. Over team. The fear sits down more often. A moment came when the friend said that the love received felt like a coastline seen after a long, fogged crossing. The fog had sat heavy for months. The coastline did not erase the memory of the storm. It only gave a place to steer toward. Light arrived at the edge of the water. It did not banish the dark sea. It offered a firm shore. Unconditional love is like that shore. It is not the removal of storms. It is a place to land after storms. It is a promise of a stable ground beneath weary feet. When the feet rest, the hands can unclench, the jaw softens, the breath lengthens. Sleep comes without the need to always be vigilant. In the quiet hours, the mind tells many stories. Most of them are rehearsals of harm. The practice of receiving love interrupts those rehearsals. An alternate narrative is offered, not because pain is excused, but because care exists. Care makes the pain holdable. The weight of the night becomes a carrying rather than a crushing. I tell this not to set up a tidy moral. Life keeps its complexity. Some nights remain long. Some repairs take seasons. Yet the presence of love files down sharp edges little by little. It is present in the acts of others and in the gentle promise of God's abiding. The promise becomes a rhythm in the room. Consider the image of a bridge at dusk. The river below moves fast and dark. The bridge is not ornamental. It is a reliable path. It suggests that movement across the dark is possible. The bridge does not stop the current. It simply provides a way. Unconditional love is bridge-like. It offers a path that is sure even when the waters press hard. I also see the softer side of this love. It teaches a different language for mistakes. Instead of a harsh list, mistakes become lessons held tenderly. The eye that watches does so with a gaze that says, I see you. You are enough to be loved. This voice is not a soft lie. It is a truth that makes learning possible. A particular night stands out. A storm pounded the windows. A power outage threw the house into a hush. Candles came out. The friend sat with a blanket and a low lamp. The child clambered into lap. Small fingers finding familiar hair. The world outside was noisy and uncertain. Inside, something older and steadier held. A small lullaby hummed without words. The room felt plain and holy at once. There was no need to fix the thunder. The presence near the heart mattered more. Unconditional love can be so gentle. It tends the small wounds with ordinary acts. A warm cup, a hand on the shoulder, a note left on the pillow. These are the languages of mercy. They speak without grand theology. They make the night soft. I encourage a simple practice. You can try now. Sit or lie still. Place a hand over the heart. Breathe in, long and full. Hold a brief count. Breathe out slowly. Imagining that a soft presence rests like a steady hand on the chest. Repeat this a few times. Let the pulse of the room match this slower rhythm. The movement calms the nervous system. It invites the idea that something steady keeps watch. There will be nights when fear returns in full. On those nights, the practice does not fail. It becomes a rope to grasp again. The habit of returning to the steady hand matters. It is good to remember that one is not expected to make the fear vanish instantly. Rest is not earned. It is offered. I do not press a final answer. The story of love is too deep for a single explanation. It lives in actions and in promises. It arrives as presence and as small mercy. It changes how the night feels. It gives a patient space in which the body can let go and the mind can relax. Before I close the Bible, I ask for a last, slow breath together. Inhale gently. Hold for a slow count. Exhale long. Let the shoulders fall. The jaw unclenches. The eyes find a soft close if they will. If sleep comes, allow it to come without shame. If it does not, let the steady presence remain. Stay near the lamp. Let the quiet be enough. I lower my voice and set the page carefully. The Bible rests on the knee. The lamp throws a small circle of light. Outside, the rain eases, or the night keeps its hush. The room feels held. Unconditional love braces like a quiet harbor. It does not insult the storm. It simply receives the boats that come in. Rest now. Let the knowledge of being loved soften the night. Let small acts of mercy pile like stones across the dark. Carry that steady shore into sleep if it arrives. I remain a while, breathing the same slow rhythm, turning pages with careful hands. When morning comes, this love will still be present. For now, allow the calm to grow. Let the lamp watch as you slip into rest. I close the page gently and let the thought of grace settle for a moment. Grace is like air. It is around and within. It fills the tiny spaces and the wide rooms. I breathe that idea in and let it sit behind the ribs. The breath becomes a small, steady tide. Each inhale brings grace. Each exhale lets weight go. I hold that rhythm as I begin to speak of walking. Walking is a kind motion. It is slow enough to notice. It is steady enough to carry. Imagine a path that is not demanding. It is soft underfoot. The ground gives a little. The shoes are light. There is no hurry. The sky is not heavy. A small light hangs low. Not to blind, but to guide. The steps that follow do not race. They meet the ground with calm. I put both feet down. One after the other. The action is simple. The body remembers how to move. The breath matches the feet. Step in, breathe in. Step out, breathe out. The pattern is gentle. The mind has permission to slow. It does not have to solve anything. It only keeps time with the feet and the breath. Notice the weight of one foot as it lifts. Notice how the ankle flexes. The heel makes first contact and then the whole foot settles. A small motion. Repeated. There is a steady trust in repetition. The path itself holds. Small stones may catch the toes. If so, the step adjusts. The body learns to move around the sharp places. That learning is patient. It is not hurried. It is quiet work. Along the way, light meets the path, not a harsh glare, not a spotlight that demands a show. A soft glow outlines the way. It keeps the edges from becoming frightening. In that light, familiar things appear. A low fence, a tree with a few leaves left, the steam from a warm cup at a windowsill. The light does not answer every question. It only shows enough for trust. When the mind pulls toward worry, bring the attention back to the feet. Feel the press of the soul. Count one step. Count two. Let the numbers be a small anchor. Counting is not a discipline of punishment. It is a hand to steady the wandering mind. 1 step. Breathe in. 2 steps. Breathe out. The rhythm eases the panic that tries to gallop ahead. The path is varied. Sometimes the way is packed earth. Sometimes it is flagstones that are worn smooth. Other times a boardwalk curves out over quiet water. The water mirrors the sky with a faint shimmer. When the feet pass, small ripples respond and then hush. The sound is soft. It becomes part of the background, like a slow heartbeat. Move with that sound. Let it keep time. There is company on the walk, though not always visible. A presence that does not crowd. A presence that walks just to one side. It does not lecture. It does not tally mistakes. It keeps the gait steady. When the breath stutters, that presence waits without impatience. When the shoulders drop, the presence nods and keeps walking. This company is not a parade. It is a quiet companion. At times the path climbs a gentle slope. Breath deepens. The chest fills easily. The steps become a little more deliberate. The body meets the work without strain. The companion steps at the same pace. At the top, the view opens. Ordinary things look less sharp. The heart finds a larger sky. From there, the slow return is easy. Gravity helps. The feet glide. The relief is soft, like warm water over the hands. When night is deep and thoughts come thick, imagine walking inside a room rather than outside. The room is measured in small paces. A single lamp on a table casts a circle of light. Each step around the table is a deliberate turn. Turn left. Breathe in. Turn right. Breathe out. The room is a contained world. Within it, stability is possible. The mind can rest within those boundaries until sleep knits the hours together. If worry insists on keeping pace, let the steps carry a practice. With each footfall, release one small thing, a petty regret, a sharp sentence that once landed, a future fear that nags. The release is simple. Say the thing in the head and let it fall like a leaf. The leaf drifts away. The hands on the lap do not clench after it. The path takes it out of sight. The light keeps watching. Feel the ground change under the toes. Sometimes a leaf gives a soft crackle. Sometimes the path is cushioned with moss. Each texture is a small lesson in attention. The mind that watches the small details forgets to spiral into worst-case stories. The senses bring the thinking down into the present. That present is safe to inhabit. It does not demand solutions. It only invites presence. The pace of the walk is not the same every night. Some evenings ask for a crawl. Some evenings ask for a steady amble. Give the body permission to match the need. A hurried pace in the mind does not help. A slow, deliberate step frames the world differently. There is no moral to be earned by speed. Rest does not require rapid progress. It requires steady, kind motion. I remember a walk by the sea once. The tide moved with a patient voice. The shore returned shells and then took them back. The air smelled of salt and small promises. A dog in the distance broke into a play that made the chest lift. That simple scene becomes a memory to borrow on harder nights. When the current of worry threatens, place that memory next to the chest. Let it soothe like a cool palm. Walking also teaches small boundaries. Notice where the path narrows. See the thicket of doubt on one side and the open field on the other. Choose a single direction. The choice is small and sufficient. Do not attempt to clear the whole thicket. Walk beside it. Let the distance itself reduce the fear's influence. A short step away can change the view more than a long argument of the heart. Hands find pockets or rest at the sides. Sometimes a hand folds upon the heart for a moment. The palm warms the sternum. The warmth is steady and reassuring. It is a small anchor. It does not demand a solution. It simply holds a presence where the breath meets the ribs. Try that now. Place a hand over the center of the chest. Breathe into the palm. Let the heat be a gentle witness. The path is kinder when lit by small rituals. A simple breath before each step. A brief gratitude for one small thing. A quiet blessing sent without fanfare toward a deep worry. None of these have to change a mountain. They only need to steady the ankles for the next footfall. Habit shapes the nervous system. Repetition becomes familiar. The body learns that rest can follow routine. On certain nights, the weather presses close. Wind can push the shoulders forward. Cold can make the hand hold tighter. On those nights, the walk is more about returning to the body. Slow the steps. Take shorter strides. Focus on the circulation in the toes. Wiggle the fingers. Let movement remind the nervous system that it is living in a safe structure. Simple physiology can calm a fear that feels overwhelming. There is also the kindness of leaving gifts along the way. A small stone placed at a remembered turning. A folded leaf left on a bench. These are not grand offerings. They are symbolic acts that mark presence. A burden set down can have the weight of a pebble. The memory of placing it there becomes a touchstone. If the night returns the same fear, imagine the pebble on the bench. Let that image remind the heart that the burden had once been set down. Walking together with the light also means allowing pauses. Sit on a low wall. Feel the lumbar press against the edge. Let the hands fall loose. The pause is not an admission of failure. It is a wise rest. The path continues when ready. For now, presence and pause share the same space. Breath deepens. The exhale lengthens. The mind watches the small movements of the body and then rests. When sleep hovers near, imagine the path bending toward a small cottage. The door is open just right. Warmth spills out. The bed rests in a corner, under a quilt. The quilt is not new. It holds the scent of small mercies. Lying down is part of the walk. It is the step that ends the practice for the night. Do not rush the closing. Let the steps guide into the slow settling onto pillows. As the body prepares to lie down, the breath remains the steady metronome. Inhale once in 4 counts. Hold 1. Exhale in 6. The longer out-breath helps the nervous system downshift. The feet feel the mattress take them. Muscles that kept watch loosen. The mind that composed lists grows quieter. The presence that walked beside stays at the bedside. not looming but simply there. If the mind protests and wants one more step, take it slowly in place. Feel the soul press the sheet. Rise a little. Sit back down. The body learns to shift with gentleness. The practice teaches that rest need not be won. It can be received when the body is allowed to stop. The Bible rests open as the breath slows. I do not offer a litany. I read in the hush, pointing to the steady truth that walking and staying are both acts of trust. Trust is not always large. It often arrives in soft motions. It asks for a footfall and a breath. Over team. Many small footfalls make a road that carries through nights. Before the page turns, let the last image be a lantern hung over the cottage door. Its light is warm. It moves a little in the evening breeze. The light watches a step slow and then stop. It keeps vigil in the quiet. The lantern does not pry. It simply shines enough for safety. Let that lantern be the thought held as lids grow heavy. I set the book down with care. The lamp's glow stays small and steady. My voice softens further. The path has been walked for now. The breathing continues its slow tide. If sleep comes, it does so without pressure. If it lingers, the steady presence remains at the bedside. The next step in the night is simply to rest. When morning arrives, the path will still be there. The feet may ache. The heart may feel lighter. Either way, another small walk begins. For now, allow the body to be still. Let the breath and the lantern hold the room. I remain here a while, turning pages like soft footsteps, reading until the night keeps its own slow rhythm and the sleeper drifts into quiet rest. The lamp is low. The Bible rests in my lap. My voice is slow, and even tonight I turn to a promise that lives quietly in John. It speaks of a peace that does not depend on tidy answers. It sits beneath the questions and holds them. I read with a soft breath. The room listens. Peace beyond understanding is not a tidy phrase. It is a felt thing. It comes like a tide that does not wait for the mind to arrange every pebble. The promise I hold speaks of a calm that is given, not earned. It feels like a warm hand on a restless shoulder. It does not explain everything. It steadies the heart. Long ago, I made a small map of honest places. It is not a map of buildings. It is a map of moments. A bench at the far side of a park, where a stranger handed over a scarf. A hospital waiting room where an old hymn began softly, and someone's breathing steadied beside mine. A quiet hallway, where a neighbor left a pot of soup and walked away without fuss. These were unexpected places. Truth met me there like a friend. The truth was not a lesson. It was a presence that aligned with peace. Walking in truth looks very simple, up close. It means choosing the next step that matches what feels like honesty in the chest. It means speaking one plain sentence to yourself at night. There is no need to pretend. It means letting the small, true things matter more than a loud, false story. In that choosing, a strange joy arrives. The joy is not bright fireworks. It is a soft smile that grows steady inside the ribs. That joy and the peace in John seem to belong to the same kind of keeping. Many nights arrive heavy. A mind can run like an old reel of film that favors worst pictures. My chest tightens. Plans unravel in thought. In those hours, the promise of peace is a refuge. It does not dissolve the worries, the way wind dissolves mist. It wraps them in a patient hush. I learn to name the restless ones by feeling rather than argument. Name the tightness. Name the ache. Say nothing loud. Breathe. Place the hand over the sternum and feel a warm steadiness settle. Truth has a soft grammar. It does not need fanfare. It often speaks by small, ordinary facts. A confession made in a whisper. A request for help. A single honest question. In my life, the place where truth appears most often is in hands. Hands that mend a torn hem. Hands that hold a cup for someone who trembles. Hands that wipe a face without asking for explanation. Those hands say something true about belonging. They teach that truth and mercy can walk together. When I learn to accept those small hands, the peace grows. Once, after a long season of trying to make sense of a sharp loss, a neighbor left a small package on the doorstep. Inside was a note with only a single sentence. Plain and ordinary. The sentence did not explain the loss. It offered presence. Reading it felt like stepping into a calm room after running in the rain. The thought that someone else could carry part of the dark for a little while made the tightness ease. That ease was not intellectual. It was a body response. The promise of John is like that. It reaches the body where the brain cannot always go. Truth found me sometimes in places I did not expect. In a mechanic's garage. For example, while waiting for a slow repair, the man at the counter spoke plainly about mistakes he had made and how he fixed them. There was no grand theology in his words. There was a practical honesty that made me feel less alone. The truth, there was quiet. People fail, and then keep working. That humble truth carries a peace of its own. It shows how truth lines up with daily life. It teaches that being honest about small things loosens the fear of being found wanting. The peace that comes from walking in truth does not always erase sorrow. It realigns how sorrow sits in the body, instead of a tight, secret knot. Sorrow becomes a shape beside the heart that can be touched and tended. The touch does not rush the repair. It does not demand fast healing. It only makes rest possible. Rest, even for an hour, begins to accumulate. Small hours of restorative sleep gather like coins in a jar. I practice a few gentle habits that help this peace come near. They are small on purpose. One is breath held slow and counted breathe in for 3. Hold 1. Breathe out for 5. The longer exhale invites a surrender that the faster thinking resists. Another is a nightly naming of a single simple truth I am seen. I am not required to fix tonight. Saying such a thing silently reorients the mind away from an anxious script. A third is showing gratitude for a small thing before sleep. Gratitude need not be grand. A warm cup, a friendly call, a quiet street, any one thing will do. Walking in truth also requires admission of things that feel ugly. Truth likes light. It prefers to be seen. I have learned to offer the small, ugly bits to the quiet presence I read about. Naming them aloud in my head often reduces the power they hold. The presence that offers peace does not relish the faults. It receives them and keeps company anyway. That acceptance teaches my body a new pattern. The palms unclench. The sternum softens. Sleep comes more often. Sometimes the gift of peace arrives in the form of a melody, a hymn hummed quietly in a room where no one seeks applause, a child singing while doing a small chore. Those sounds are like anchors. They remind the ear that the world holds rhythms kinder than worry. Truth can live in melody too, in music that tells the heart it is not alone. Let those small songs remind you to keep a soft ear tuned to the gentle thing. The joy that walks with truth can be a surprise. It appears when least expected, like a bird landing on a railing and staying a little longer than seems reasonable. In those moments, a laugh breaks the seriousness in the chest. The laugh is quiet but truthful. It has no edge of shame. It is a small proof that living honestly, telling the small truth, asking for small help, brings a lightness. This lightness does not solve the big puzzles. It invites the work of resting in the mystery. Peace beyond understanding does not always come quickly. It is patient. It rests like moss on a stone. Over time, many small acts of truth and mercy gather into a softness that cushions the nights. I have watched this happen in people I love. A family that learns to pass a burden gently. Friends who choose presence over argument. A church that practices small kindnesses as a habit. Those soft habits change the muscle memory of the heart. The heart learns that it can downshift. In the dark, the mind often seeks a tidy reason for everything. The promise of peace refuses that pressure. It invites acceptance without coercion. It says, rest now. Leave the questions at the bedside. There will be time for thinking later. For now, the task is to receive. This kind of rest is not cowardice. It is wisdom. It recognizes limits and supplies a different kind of work, the work of receiving care. There are nights when fear intrudes like a guest that will not leave. On those nights, the practice is simple. I fold the hands. I breathe with the counting. I place a foot on the floor and stand for a moment. Movement sometimes resets the mind. A slow, deliberate step across the room changes the rhythm of the body. The lamp's light looks new when viewed from a different angle. Such small changes remind the system that it can be surprised by gentleness. Truth sometimes surprises by its gentleness. It does not always rebuke or correct. It often invites and receives. When truth meets mercy, in that quiet meeting, peace blooms. The bloom is small. It might be a single calm breath. It might be a touch of warmth at the sternum. It might be the sensation of shoulders letting go. Those are enough for tonight. The joy in living this way is like a low, steady hum. It is not loud. It continues when the room quiets. It is a companionable feeling I have chosen, honestly, in one small place. And that choice keeps me company over months. These choices form a trail of trust. The trail is not perfect. It curves. It crosses muddy sections. Still, the presence that holds the promise of peace walks beside my feet. Before I close the page, I offer one small exercise. Place a hand on the chest. Breathe in deeply. Hold the breath a moment and whisper a true phrase to yourself in your mind, one short sentence that feels honest and kind. It could be as simple as "I did the best I could today," or "I am allowed to rest." Let the phrase be true and small. Breathe out slowly, imagining the truth settling like a warm cloth on the heart. Repeat once or twice. Let the body do the believing for the brain. The Bible rests open. My fingers close it gently when the breath and the heart feel steadier. The lamp stays. The room remains soft. Peace is not eradicated by this reading. It is summoned nearer. It is given space to sit. The knowing that I walk in truth brings a modest joy that warms the ribs. It aligns with the promise of peace in John. Even when the reasons for peace are not clear, I do not promise the night will vanish, or that every fear will fold away. I promise instead a steady presence and a practice to receive it. Rest now with that assurance. Breathe the truth in. Exhale into peace. I stay a while longer. My voice low. The lamp steady. The book in my hands. If sleep comes, it arrives kindly. If it lingers, the promise of peace remains, as sure as a light that does not go out. The lamp is steady. The Bible rests open in my lap. My voice is low. I read slowly and gently. Tonight I turn to a promise that is soft and close. It speaks of a comforter who comes to be near. The promise does not arrive with a trumpet. It comes as a hush. It settles like cool hand on a fevered brow. I speak about a presence that stands with the weary. The text in John says that another comfort will be given. That comfort is not a distant idea. It is a companion. It remains. It stays through small hours. It notices quiet needs. It does not hurry away when questions crowd the mind. It does not demand clever words. It simply rests beside the restless heart. Think of the comforter as a gentle room. Enter it slowly. The room has a chair with a familiar shape. The chair does not judge how long you sit. It only supports. In that room, a light is warm, but not bright. It reveals edges without exposing wounds. The air feels like a soft breath. This image is not a tidy theology. It is a practical place to let the body settle. I invite a simple practice now. Place a hand where the ribs rise. Let the palm be heavy and kind. Breathe in, breathe out. Imagine that a steady presence matches your breath. It breathes with you. It does not rush. It does not criticize. This matching is an act of comfort itself. The body recognizes that another breath can share the work of holding. The comforter comes in small motions. A remembered word. A familiar hymn that surfaces unbidden. A sudden calm in the throat. These things are gentle signals. They are not always loud or bright. They often arrive in the margins of the day. Notice them like a friend who taps lightly on the shoulder. Notice them and allow the pause. Once I sat in a small kitchen while rain moved along the windows. A young woman in the room held a steaming cup. Her hands were cramped with worry. She spoke little. She only let the cup warm her palms. In a slow moment she said that she felt less alone. The feeling was not dramatic. It was a subtle deepening of breath. That quiet friend, she named later as a sense that something unseen kept company. The comforter often appears in such small, faithful ways. Comfort tends to the immediate need. It takes care of the raw places. When grief sharpens the edges of memory, the comforter does not fix the memory. Instead, it softens the edge. When fear tightens the jaw, it does not erase the cause. It loosens the muscles long enough for sleep to arrive. That is its art. Comfort clears a small space so the body can rest. Imagine a warm cloth placed over a sore place. The cloth does not resolve the wound. It soothes. It keeps the heat from becoming a fever. So does the comforter. It offers a practical and present easing. You do not have to earn it. You do not have to be eloquent to receive it. The presence rests where it is needed. I guide the breath again. Inhale for 3 counts. Hold for 1. Exhale for 5. The longer exhale invites release. Let tension map out of the shoulders with that breath. Picture a small candle flame bending toward a gentle draft. The flame does not go out. It simply leans. The comforter leans toward the troubled places. It leans so the flame can steady. There is a tenderness to this promise that fits ordinary life. It helps while making dinner. It helps during hospital vigils. It helps between bedtime checks when small children worry. It is not reserved for grand moments only. It is ordinary and faithful. That ordinariness makes it believable, and therefore restful. The comforter also teaches in quiet ways. It brings to mind a phrase at the right time. It hushes a memory that is growing loud. It nudges toward a practical next step. The teaching is not a lesson plan. It is a hush of truth that fits the moment. Let that idea sit the presence, advises with a soft touch, not a harsh decree. If shame rises and speaks in a loud voice, picture the comforter as a steady friend who will not let shame have the last word. The friend takes the loud voice in hand and turns it down. The friend does not lie. The friend simply offers a truer story, one that the heart can hold without splitting. That steadier story becomes a pillow for the tired mind. Sometimes the comforter comes as memory of kind thing, a neighbor's patient listening, a relative's steady visit, a co-worker's small help. These memories are like breadcrumbs. They remind the mind of what faithful presence looks like. They prove that comfort is not only promised, it has been given before. That proof helps the heart receive again. I encourage a small ritual of noticing before sleep. Think of 3 small kindnesses from the day. They need not be grand. A light that stayed on, a door that someone held, the warmth of food, a short message that did not demand response. Name them quietly. Let each one sink like a small stone into a calm pool. The pool quiets the mind. It makes room for the comforter. The comforter is also patient with unfinished prayers. Words that stumble are acceptable. Silent groans are enough. Sometimes the only language is a sigh. The presence understands that sigh. It takes the imperfect offering and carries it gently. That carrying is not a theological abstract. It is a real comfort for a real body. There is a sense of company in the comforter that changes how nights feel. instead of a solitary room. There is a presence in the corner. It does not intrude. It only keeps the pace. When sleeplessness presses, imagine that presence near the window. It watches the stars with you. It does not fix them. It simply shares the cold sky. Sharing becomes warmth. If fear tries to rehearse worst scenarios, use a practical check. Name one small fact that is true, not a grand truth. A simple fact: the cup is warm, the lamp is lit, breath is moving. State this quietly in the mind. Facts are anchors. The comforter uses these anchors to keep the mind from spinning into endless what-ifs. Comfort can also mean a steady grieving. It does not rush sorrow. It sits through the rain. It offers tissues and a shoulder. It does not hurry to rationalize the pain. Sitting through sorrow is a practice. The comforter sits with the sorrow. This sitting is a form of compassion that the body can rest into. The rhythm slows. The muscles unclench. Tears do their own work. The presence remains. I have watched people learn to accept comfort slowly. At first they suspect it must be earned. Later they discover it is free. That discovery changes the way nights unwind. The habit of preparing the heart to accept kindness takes small steps. Begin with a breath. Follow with a memory. End with a small act of rest. The comforter fills the space between these movements. There are also practical gestures that invite this presence. A short prayer that is only a phrase offered in the mind. A candle lit and left in view. A small music played softly. A hand laid over the sternum for a moment. These physical acts do not create comfort. They open the senses to receive it. The comforter often meets the body through these sensible doors. When doubt appears about whether this comfort really stays, remember that the promise says, "It will be with you always." In practice, this looks like a pattern of small returns. Comfort arrives, then recedes, then returns. Over time, the returns make a rhythm that builds trust. Trust is slower than proof. It grows like a vine that takes seasons to wrap the porch. But once it holds, it steadies the nights. If loneliness whispers that no one understands, imagine that gentle presence naming you by a different truth. You are not only known by tasks or success, you are known by small, sacred familiarity. The comforter keeps record in a gentle way. It remembers how you breathe. It notices the tremor in the voice. This remembering itself is a form of mercy. There is also a quiet power in submitting to comfort. It is a humble act. To accept help means to admit the body is human. That admission is not shameful. It is honest. The comforter meets honesty with tenderness, not scorn. Try this. Admit one small weakness in the mind, then let it rest. Watch how the body responds with a slight unlocking. The chest becomes less braced. The eyes soften. At times, the comforter will guide toward restful habits. A later bedtime is not always the best. A warm drink an hour before sleep helps. Reading a short passage that soothes the heart, calms the mind. Small routines are not rigid rules. They are friendly frames that allow comfort to arrive more easily. The presence often prefers the ordinary path. If dreams bring fear, consider a calm image before sleep, a pond at dusk, a lantern on a porch, a small boat drifting near shore. Let that image be watched by the gentle presence. The comforter keeps the edges of the dream gentled. The dream can visit without taking over the night. Holding a soft image is a way to let the presence do its work. There is a promise that comfort will not leave when the morning comes. It does not vanish with sunlight. The steady company continues into the day in subtle ways. A thought that calms when anger rises. A timely word that soothes a fear. The comforter's touch is not limited to bed. It follows into kitchens and hallways and workrooms. That continuing makes the nights feel safer. I read these words to you and to myself. I do not preach. I offer the image of a faithful presence that meets the tired. I keep my tone slow. I let the lamp mark time. I breathe with you in the hush. The Bible sits open and patient. Its words are not demands tonight. They are an invitation to rest. Before I close this part, a brief practice. Place a hand over your heart. Breathe in slowly. On the out-breath, imagine a warm presence resting on your palm. Hold that thought for a moment. Breathe again. Let the idea deepen. There is no rush. Comfort is not a test to pass. It is a gift to receive. I fold the page gently and keep the lamp low. The room feels softer. The promise of the comforter sits like a quiet friend in the doorway. If sleep arrives, it does so beneath that company. If it waits, the presence remains. Patient and kind, I stay here a while, reading softly, until the night becomes still enough for rest. When you are ready, we will turn the page together. I open the Bible and let the page rest beneath my thumb. The room is still. The lamp makes a soft pool of light. Tonight I bring a simple line from John, that we are called children of God. The sentence sits like a small bell. It rings quietly. It asks to be heard without hurry. To be called a child of God is a strange and gentle thing. It is not a trophy or a prize. It is a belonging. It is a name that fits like a warm cap. The name does not demand proof. It rests on who we are, not on what we do. Imagine a label sewn inside a coat that reads not the brand, but the person who made it. The coat warms because the maker cares. Think of the moment a parent looks at a sleeping child. The gaze is soft. The heart settles. Nothing needs fixing in that instant. The child breathes, and the presence around them holds. Being called a child of God is like that look. It does not erase trouble. It only assures that someone stays near and watches. Sometimes the mind resists such simple claims. It asks for a list. Il demande évidence. The night may bring old scores and long lists of faults. When those voices arrive, let them sit like clouds. Notice them. Then turn attention to the steady fact of belonging. Facts often calm, fear better than arguments. The knowledge of being known is practical. It steadies the body. I invite a small practice now. Place a hand where the pulse is easiest to find. Feel the tiny rise and fall. Breathe into that rhythm. Let each in-breath name the word beloved without saying it aloud. Let each out-breath imagine the name settling more like a small stone in the pocket. Repeat slowly a few times. The body learns language by repetition. The heart understands touch better than the mind sometimes. There is also a comfort in family stories. Think of an old photograph passed down. Faces look familiar across the years. You belong to that chain whether you know every face or not. Being children of God means belonging to a long story of care. The chapters are messy and lovely. Love threads through them even when the plot seems broken. Belonging changes how decisions feel at night. If someone waits for you at the door, the room feels less harsh. You can let the shoulders drop if the world demands proof. The waiting hand offers rest. Rest is a permission, not a reward. It is given when the day ends. Let this permission be enough tonight. Identity as a child of God is a practical gift. It rewires small habits. When fear presses, the mind no longer has to list every possible failure. The posture softens. The jaw eases. Small rituals hold the change. A whispered thanks, a brief breath, a moment of gratitude for one thing that went right. These actions do not fix everything, but they create a safe rhythm for the nervous system. I remember a night when an old fear returned like a persistent cough. It felt like a long shadow in a small room. An older friend sat quietly and hummed without words. The hum had no curriculum. It only filled the room with a steady sound. Breath matched the hum. The shadow shrank just a little. Belonging is often like that hum. It steadies nerves without being loud or demanding. There is also a subtle courage in being a child who is allowed to be small. Being small here is not weak. It is honest. Children can ask for help without shame. They can rest with simple trust. Accepting this smallness is a restful practice. It frees energy that otherwise gets spent on pretending. Pretending keeps the muscles braced. Let the evening be a time to unclench. Imagine cradle. The motion is gentle and sure. The cradle does not ask the sleeper to earn the rocking. The crib moves because someone chooses to rock. Being called a child of God means the cradle exists. The motion may pause. The singing may stop briefly. Yet the cradle remains. Rest comes in the rhythm of being held. Place another hand lightly over the sternum. Now, breathe in slowly. Hold 2 counts. Breathe out and imagine the pressure of belonging spreading warm across the chest. Do this 3 times. Let the body receive the thought as a physical thing. The mind is often soothed by the body's cooperation. Belonging also includes forgiveness. When a child errs, the home does not break. It receives the error and begins gentle repair. That repair happens over time and in small acts. Apologies are exchanged. Meals are shared. Arms rewrap, and the story continues. Mercy operates like that. It does not annihilate consequence. It keeps steady while mending happens. There is a quiet dignity in being chosen. The phrase chosen is not about being special in a boastful way. It is about being seen and kept. Think of a gardener who tends a garden patch that looks scraggly by general standards. The gardener's hands return morning after morning. The patch becomes something living because care is constant. Being a child of God resembles such tending. Sometimes nights feel like a trial of worth. Old voices insist that love must be earned. The simple remedy is the practice of presence. Sit by the window for a moment in the dark. Notice one small star. Tell yourself plainly that the star does not leave because of your faults. The star keeps its place. So does the claim that you are a child. The steady presence does not hinge on performance. Allow the memory of a small kindness to surface, a neighbor's errand run, a friend's brief message, a stranger who held a door. These are not grand proofs, yet they form a pattern. They are the ordinary currency of belonging. When the pattern repeats, trust grows slowly. Trust is a muscle. It strengthens with small repetitions. Identity also invites practice in community. No single lamp holds the whole harbor. Many small lamps together mark a safe path. Reach for a neighbor's light when the night grows dense. Share a small burden. Being a child of God is also being a sibling in a larger household. Household living includes shared sorrow and shared bread. It softens solitary nights. There is an ease to being a child that shapes sleep. The body that learns it is allowed to be small. Unlearns hypervigilance. Muscles that braced for long nights relax a little each evening with a patient routine. A warm drink, a low lamp, a short reading like this. Small practices build a scaffold for deeper rest. The scaffold need not be ornate. It only needs to be steady. If regret knocks at the window, acknowledge it, but do not open the door wide. Offer the thought a seat by the hearth, and then close the curtains for the night. Regret can be a useful teacher in daylight. At night, it dulls the mind's edges. Let nighttime be a rehearsal for receiving kindness and mercy. Let morning be the place for taking practical steps. There is also a gentle power in naming. Say quietly to the empty room one true line about belonging, not as a spell, but as a simple fact. Let the body hear that fact. Repetition allows the fact to move from the mind to the marrow. The phrase does not have to be complex. It merely needs to be true and offered slowly with breath. Picture a long table with many places. Some chairs are empty. Plates remain. The table speaks of a home that has room. Being children of God places you at such a table. The offering may be bread, a small piece of fruit. A warmtsap, the hospitality is modest, patient, and true. Night is a time when the table's warmth feels most welcome. When the stomach tightens with worry, put a hand on the belly. Breathe deep and slow. Imagine belonging as warmth like a cup held between both hands. Let the warmth spread. The body interprets warmth as safety. Safety allows sleep to come closer. The posture of being comfortable teaches the nervous system to release. There will be nights when the old fear of not measuring up returns. When it does, practice a small ritual of return. Rise slowly. Cross the room and place one small object on the windowsill. It can be a stone or a folded note. The act of moving and placing signals to the body that care takes action. Then return to bed. The motion itself soothes. Being a child of God also means inheriting hope. Inheritance here is not wealth, but continuity. It is a steady thread passed from one night to the next. That thread ties today's rest to tomorrow's promise. Hope in this sense is patient. It does not shout. It arrives as a small promise that mornings can come softer than the hardest nights. Allow one last guided breath. Breathe in. Count slowly to 4. Hold 1 beat. Breathe out for 6. With the out-breath, imagine the body accepting the name given to it. Let the ribs relax. Let the shoulders fall. The eyelids grow heavier with each slow cycle. The claim of belonging settles like a soft shawl over the shoulders. I close the Bible lightly. But do not shut the lamp. The light remains small and steady. The room keeps its hush. Tonight's short reading is a reminder more than an instruction. It is a restful truth for a tired mind. Being called a child of God is a tender fact. It does not erase the night's difficulties. It offers a place to set them down. When sleep comes, let it meet the fact of belonging, if it waits. Sit with the warmth of the hand on the chest a while longer. The presence that names you is patient. It does not hurry. It keeps watch, like an old friend by the bedside. Rest into that watchfulness. I stay a little while longer. The lamp throws a steady circle. The Bible rests open a page or two forward. When you are ready, we will turn the page together. For now, breathe. Let the identity you carry be a soft pillow for the night. When morning comes, this small belonging will still be there, steady and unearned, waiting to greet the day with a calm that lasts beyond sleep. I open the Bible and lay a quiet finger at a place where the paper rests warm from the lamp. The words there speak of a hope that changes the heart. They do not promise sudden perfection. They promise a gentle refining. Hope makes room for a truer shape. Tonight I read that when hope is fixed on what is good, the soul moves toward purity. The idea is simple. Hope gives a new aim. When the aim shifts, small things follow. Habits alter. Choices settle into a softer pattern. There is a story I carry with me. It is not about a grand conversion. It is about someone who let small hopes guide small acts. Years ago, an older craftsman worked in a lane that smells of sawdust and oil. The hands were steady from a lifetime of careful work. The eyes had grown a little tired. Regret sat like dust in one corner of the chest. The craftsman did not begin with a sermon. He began with a small hope, to be present for his granddaughter's first school recital. That hope is not dramatic. It is tender and particular. It draws him forward in tiny ways. He wakes a little earlier. The morning coffee is quieter. Tools are set aside at noon instead of left in a careless heap. The workbench gets wiped. The motion of wiping is oddly like prayer. Each pass of the cloth removes a grain of dust and also a grain of hardness from the day. This sort of purification is not theatrical. It is not about appearing blameless. It is about becoming more able to live with a simple integrity. The craftsman does not become a different person overnight. Instead, the edges of the old habits soften. When his granddaughter runs into the shop, there is space for laughter that did not used to come. Presence grows because hope points to someone other than himself. Think of the heart as a basin that collects small leaves. Eau pour rester dit. Gentle stream of water into that basin. The stream does not flood the whole house. It only shifts what clings to the bottom. Over weeks, what once stuck to the sides loosens and drifts away. The basin becomes cleaner by slow, persistent washing. Let the mind rest on a single small image. Picture a bowl of dark water. A single morning light touches its surface. A clean hand lowers a soft cloth and circles calmly. The cloth does not scrub harshly. It moves in patient rings. Little flecks rise. They float to the rim and are lifted away. This is how hope works on a heart. The motion is steady and slow. The outcome is not immediate brightness, but a quieter clarity. The text in John links hope with purity for a reason. Hope gives the heart a direction. When eyes look toward a kind horizon, actions begin to align with that view. Words settle gentler. Impulsive replies are fewer. The mind finds room for grace. The will bends away from petty anger more readily. This is not a sudden moral victory. It is a long, patient retraining of the soul. Practices help. Choose one small, sensible discipline tonight. It could be placing a glass of cool water on the bedside table. When the mind grows restless, lift it slowly and sip. Let each swallow be a tiny promise, I will try again. Another practice is a brief list in the dark of 3 small things to do tomorrow that reflect the hope you hold. They need not be large. A phone call. A short walk with someone who needs it. A pause before answering a sharp email. The list sets the compass. In the morning, the acts will feel less foreign. Purity here is about clarity, not legalism. It is a lightening. The request is not to become flawless. It is to become truer. Imagine clearing fog from a window a little each evening. The view becomes possible. The world outside does not shift its weather because of the cleaning, but the sight of a tree or a friend's face is sharper. That clarity is mercy. It lets love act without as many obstructions. When the hope is centered in Christ, the change is humble and steady. Mercy frames the movement. Purification then looks like gentleness towards self and toward others. One begins to choose speech that heals rather than wounds. Meals are shared without counting faults. Apologies come sooner. The heart learns to accept correction without turning to ruin. I remember a woman who kept a small ledger of kindnesses. The list began as a private practice after a season of harsh words. Each evening she wrote one small act she had done that day that honored the hope she held. The acts were simple. They often involved listening, not fixing. After months, the ledger read like a map of a softened life. The acts did not make her perfect. They made her available. They let the hope she held reach out and steady the fragile places of her family. There is a practical side to this purification. Clean hands, a cleared shelf, a quiet cup placed back in its place. These actions matter. They teach the body that order can be gentle. When the outside of a room becomes less chaotic, the inside of a mind often follows. The nervous system takes cues from the world it inhabits. A tidy corner signals a tone of calm. The small order of a night routine can become a teacher of peace. Try a soft ritual now. Stand and fold a small cloth slowly. Feel the motion in the hands. Make one deliberate fold, and then another. Each fold is a yes to the hope you hold. I want my life to be kinder. Place the folded cloth on a windowsill or table. Let it sit there as a visible reminder of a little promise kept. The mind will notice the cloth in the morning. It will feel like an ally. Hope quietly realigns desire. Where greed or fear once pressed, hope asks for less. Instead of grasping, the hand opens to share. It happens in small increments. Adelaide Purchase. An invitation offered before the heart decides it is inconvenient. A quiet refusal of gossip. These are small acts of purification. They do not score spiritual points. They simply restore a healthier shape to daily life. Purity also includes the willingness to be seen. Hope that expects to be known invites honesty. Confession is not a public spectacle. It is a gentle naming. Speak one small truth tonight, but not out loud unless that helps. Name it inside a small, resentful thought. A tendency to hurry. A sharp reply that left a scar. Naming takes the power out of secrecy. It opens space for mercy to work. Then follow the naming with a breath practice. Inhale slowly for 3 counts. Hold 1. Exhale for 5. Imagine the out-breath carrying away the need to be flawless. Let the body know that imperfections are not exile. They are invitations to a different sort of life, one shaped by patience and steady repair. The breath becomes a teacher of acceptance. The refining work of hope is often communal. When a household practices gentleness, the pattern strengthens. One person's small act of purity makes the room safer for others to try. A softened word encourages a kinder response. A repaired relationship teaches others how to mend. Do not imagine the work must be solitary. Community is a kiln for growth. It holds what is fragile with care. There is also a quiet discipline in choosing small joys. Purity is not denial. It is a reorientation. The delight in a warm loaf. A sunrise, seen with someone dear. A song hummed while setting the table. All these nurture a heart that wants good things for others. Joy and purity walk together. When delight becomes shared, it refines selfishness into generosity. Sometimes hope runs thin. Then kindness to the self matters most. Rest when tired. Say no to an extra duty that unravels the pattern of care. Eat simply and well. Allow a short nap in the late afternoon if the body asks. Purity fueled by hope is sustainable because it does not burn out the worker. Mercy extends inward as well as outward. There will be nights when the old stumbles return. Do not be startled. Refining is circular. One may take 1 step forward and 2 back. The promise of hope is not perfection, but perseverance. A gentle return to small practices repairs the rhythm. Pick the cloth up. Fold it again. Breathe. The pattern continues. Before I slow my voice further, let a final image settle. Picture a quiet river at dawn. Mist rises in thin threads. A careful hand lifts a net and gathers small twigs from the surface. The river does not rage. The net moves slowly. Each twig lifted is not a sign of failure in the river. It is a simple clearing. The river keeps flowing. So does a hopeful heart. It flows on, cleared a little more with each small act. Place a hand over the chest. Now, Breathe in slowly. Let the thought of hope move like a soft current beneath the ribs. Breathe out. And imagine a small impurity loosening its hold. Repeat twice more. Let the rhythm be patient. The body listens to these steady, calm motions. I set the Bible gently on my lap. The lamp keeps a small circle of light. Hope that purifies is not an emergency fix. It is a long, kind practice. The night receives the practice willingly. The soft work of change happens under lamplight and in the hush of ordinary choices. When sleep comes, let it meet the hope that has been planted. Allow the heart to rest in the quiet conviction that small acts of goodness matter. If waking finds the work unfinished, return with one folded cloth, one slow breath, one small kindness. The path is long, but it moves steadily toward a quieter, true life. I will stay a little while longer. My voice remains low. The pages turn slowly when you are ready. For now, breathe with me. Let the promise of hopeful purification settle like dew across the mind. Rest in that mercy. Rest in that hope. When morning comes, it will find a heart a little clearer and a life a little gentler. I open the Bible and let my finger rest where the page warms under the lamp. I breathe with the hush of the room. The thought I hold tonight is simple and close, abiding in God. The passage I read speaks of a spirit that gives proof. It tells that fellowship with God is not a distant idea. It is a living, breathing company that rests near. I do not bring long arguments. I bring a small invitation. Stay with me in calm breaths. Let the words sink like rain into dry soil. The Spirit, the text says, is the way we know the presence is real. Not because of loud signs, but because the heart feels less alone. Imagine a house at dusk. The walls are familiar. The doorway is wide. Someone keeps a lamp on a low table in the hallway. You enter. The lamp does not ask your reasons for coming. It offers light. The house is the kind of place that receives people as they are. This is the picture of abiding. The Spirit is like the lamp. It is not a show. It is a steady glow that says welcome. Abiding is a gentle practice. It looks like small patience. It takes ordinary moments and lets them become holy because presence is there. A hand that rests on a kitchen counter, a cup cooled by the evening air, a breath that returns to a slower rhythm. These are the things that the Spirit touches. The touch is quiet. It is deeper than any single feeling. I invite a short, steady exercise. Place a hand on your chest. Feel the rise and fall beneath the palm. Breathe in slowly. Imagine the breath meeting a warm presence that answers it. Breathe out. Release a small worry. Keep the rhythm. Let the breath and the presence match for a few cycles. This matching is a small proof. It is practical. The body understands it before the mind does. The word fellowship can sound grand. Here it means companionable care. Think of a friend who sits with you without needing to talk. Their presence alone heals a raw place. The Spirit behaves like that friend. It does not demand a polished life. It sits through the heavy moments. It keeps watch. Once, in a quiet afternoon, An old woman came to sit by my window. She held a small shawl, and her fingers kept pulling at the fringe. She did not ask for counsel. She only wanted to be near the light. As we sat, a calm came over her face. She said later that she felt less empty. There was no dramatic miracle. There was a steady presence that made the room larger. That is a small example of what abiding looks like. Abiding changes senses. The room seems fuller. The air tastes cooler. The edges of sharp memories soften. Pain remains. Maybe, but it is held by something wider. Imagine a bowl large enough to cradle many small stones. The stones keep their shape. The bowl keeps them safe from falling. The spirit is the bowl. The heart is the collection of stones. Both can exist together without being destroyed. There is a scent image I like. Picture incense in a quiet chapel. The scent is thin at first. It moves through spaces and lingers on wood and fabric. It does not shout. It permeates. Abiding is like that scent. It moves through ordinary moments and leaves a trace of calm that you can feel on your skin. That trace becomes a proof of presence. The practice of abiding is humble. It begins without fanfare. Start with 2 slow breaths. On the inhale, feel a small lift at the sternum. On the exhale, imagine a soft settling. Say nothing aloud unless it helps. Simply breathe. Let the idea of a faithful presence move from thought into sensation. Over time, small habits make the abiding more obvious. When worry presses, recall communion, not as a distant meeting, but as a shared table. You do not have to bring a perfect offering. You bring your tiredness. You bring a small, honest word. The spirit meets that. The meeting itself rearranges the tight spaces in the chest. The relief is not a grand release. It is a slow loosening. There is an image from a garden I keep. A vine climbs a trellis. Its roots run deep and quiet beneath the soil. The leaves reach for light. In storms, the vine does not topple because its roots are steady. Abiding feels like those roots. The spirit anchors in ways that are not always seen. In the small acts of daily care, those roots grow stronger. Abiding is not a one-time decision. It is a rhythm. It is returning. Sometimes the return is quick. Sometimes it is a long, patient coming back after many distractions. The practice is forgiving. If the mind wanders, bring it back with a gentle breath. Do not scold it. The spirit's company is patient with the wandering. That patience is itself a comfort. I ask you to notice the quiet signals of fellowship, a sudden ease in the throat, a moment when anger loses its edge, a small memory that turns warm instead of sharp. These are signs that presence is working. They are not dramatic. They are reliable. Like small stars that show on a clear night, they point you toward the broader sky. Fellowship also means conversation of a different kind. Sometimes the exchange is not words. Sometimes it is a silence that speaks. You sit with your palms folded. The chest feels heavy. In the quiet, a single thought may come, you are seen. Allow that thought to rest. Let it sink like a pebble into still water. The ripple that follows is not loud. It settles slowly into calm. The Spirit also teaches through ordinary charity. A neighbor's qui est help, a single steady listener, a hand that passes a blanket without a question. These actions mirror the belonging we share with God. They show that abiding is not only an inward feeling, it shapes how people are held in the world. When the Spirit's company fills a room, kindness follows naturally. There is a practical form of abiding I recommend for restless nights. Make a small list of 3 simple things that represent fellowship. It might be a kind word someone once spoke. It might be a memory of food shared at a low table. It might be the sound of rain that felt like a cover. Read the list slowly before sleep. Let each item become a bead on a string. Move your attention along the beads with your breath. This gentle counting returns the mind from anxious tangents. Let us also name a small ritual for waking. In the first minute of morning, place a hand over the heart. Breathe in and say silently a short phrase that feels true. You are accompanied. Breathe out and let the phrase rest. The habit trains the body to remember the company of the Spirit across day and night. Abiding is not absence of trouble. It is presence in trouble. A gentle image is a fisherman's net. It does not stop the sea from moving. It holds the catch without tearing. The Spirit's fellowship does not erase storms. It holds the person through them. That holding is practical and steady. It creates the conditions where healing and rest can begin. The heart learns to trust by small repeats. Each time you turn toward presence, the pattern strengthens. The presence becomes easier to sense. The proof is not a single event. It is a collection of small evidence, calmer breath, softer speech, a longer tolerance for the night's dark, ovotime. Those small acts become a new posture of life. When guilt or shame tries to push out the sense of company, let the practice be simple. Name one small truth. Do not make a sermon of it. Speak it gently in the mind. This moment is met. Allow the breath to answer. The Spirit's company often enters right there. In that naming, it rearranges the weight so that the body can rest. I remember a morning when grief pressed hard after a long vigil. The house felt too sharp. I sat beside the window and watched light move across the floor. As the light crossed an old quilt, warmth rose from the fabric. It did not take away the sorrow. It only made the room big enough to hold it. That morning was an ordinary proof of abiding. The Spirit moves like light across a worn surface. It makes room. Fellowship with God encourages small, ordinary patience. It asks not for perfection, but for return. If the mind breaks away 100 times, come back 101. Do not measure failure by how many times the mind wanders. Measure growth by the gentleness of the return. There are nights when words will not come. That is fine. Abiding does not depend on eloquence. A simple breath offered like a small gift suffices. Let the breath be enough. The Spirit receives it. The presence meets the fragile hour and keeps vigil. Trust that this small offering is heard and that it matters. Now a final. Slow practice for this part. Sit or lie comfortable. Place one hand on the sternum and one on the belly. Inhale slowly, noticing both movements. Imagine a soft presence flowing into the space between the hands. Hold for a gentle beat. Exhale long, and imagine the presence settling into the bone. Repeat 3 times. With each cycle, sense the house of the heart grow warmer. Let the companionship become a felt thing. I close the page with a careful motion. The lamp throws a steady circle. I do not hurry. The promise of abiding remains like a low, true hum in the room. The Spirit's reassurance is a quiet companion. It sits in the corners and moves through the open doors. It does not demand answers. It simply lives with the weary and makes a home of the night. Rest now with that assurance. Breathe once more. Let the presence fill the small spaces. If sleep comes, enter it without fear. If it waits, keep the lamp low and the hand on your chest a while longer. I stay here a little while, my voice soft and slow, reading and turning pages like gentle steps. The company of the Spirit remains. The fellowship is real. The night keeps watch, and so do we. The lamp is low. The Bible rests across my knees. I hold the page where the phrase about grace and mercy meets truth and love. I read it slowly. The words fall like soft rain. They do not demand answers. They offer company. Truth and love are paired there. They belong together like 2 notes that form a chord. One by itself can feel sharp. Together, they become music. The sound soothes. It steadies breath and bone. Think of a violin with 1 string out of tune. The whole instrument wants to shout. When the string is tuned, the instrument breathes. The same thing happens inside a person when truth and love meet. Tension eases. Anger softens. The jaw loosens. Sleep leans in a little closer. I describe this not as a sermon. I offer a simple picture. Hold it near your chest. Picture a small room with a piano. The pianist sits and plays a single chord. It is quiet and clear. The chord is honest. It is gentle. It does not pretend the room has no cracks. It simply fills them with sound that fits. That fitting is what the verse names grace, mercy, and peace arriving through truth, held lovingly. There is a practical rhythm to this harmony. Truth without love is cold. It can wound. Love without truth can drift. It can enable harm. When both meet, they form a gentle structure. A person can rest inside it. The heart finds steadiness. I remember an evening at a neighbor's house. A small quarrel sat like a tight stone in the center of the room. Words had been sharp earlier. Later, in a gitterhour, a single honest phrase was offered short. Plain, free of blame. It rested beside an act of kindness. A cup of tea was handed over. The stone did not disappear. It became manageable. The room breathed again. That is an ordinary proof of how truth and love work together. You can practice this harmonizing tonight. Place a hand over the sternum. Breathe in slowly for 3 counts. Hold for 1. Breathe out for 5. On the in-breath, invite truth, something small and real, to the surface. On the out-breath, offer love, an image of kindness toward yourself or another. Repeat 3 times. Let the body learn the rhythm more than the mind. The act is physical. It teaches the nervous system that honesty and tenderness can coexist. The long exhale tells the body that gentleness follows truth. This practice is not quick work. It is patient retraining. Night after night, the breath becomes a harp that tunes the soul. Mercy sits in that harmony like a warm shawl. Mercy is not denial. It is not a way to avoid truth. Mercy is the softening of consequence so repair can begin. Imagine a hand placing a warm cloth over a raw place. The cloth does not hide the wound. It comforts it. Mercy gives the wound space to heal without cutting it off from light. A small nightly ritual helps the heart welcome mercy. Name one thing honestly. Keep it brief. Offer it to the quiet presence in the room. Then breathe long and imagine a soft cloak laid over the named thing. You need not say more. The simple ritual teaches the body that confession and care can live in the same moment. Boundaries are part of loving truth. They are not walls that push people away. They are gates that keep the path safe. Picture a garden with a low fence. The fence marks where careful tending happens. It protects tender plants from trampling. Setting a boundary can be an act of love, both for yourself and for others. It says, here is care. Here is limit. Both hold shape. If worry attacks, use a tiny boundary before sleep. Place the most urgent thought on an imagined shelf to deal with tomorrow. Tell it in one short phrase that it is shelved for now. Breathe and close the small door. The mind learns that some things can wait. The waiting itself becomes a kindness. Lover's truth also asks for courage. It speaks plainly, softly, without showing off. It refuses to let fear write the script. When a gentle truth is spoken to someone you care for, it helps more than a string of reasons. People need to be seen in their defectiveness and kept. An honest phrase offered with steady eyes and a warm hand can change a long night. In the quiet, practicing how to give truth in love matters. Think of a moment to repair in small ways. Prepare a short sentence in your mind that names what you saw or felt without blame. Pair it with a small act, a wrapped hand, a slow meal, a clean cup. Practice the pairing slowly in memory. The memory becomes a template for tomorrow. Or a team. The pairing builds a new habit. People notice. The world around you softens. Peace grows where these small habits take root. It is a tone more than a tidy answer. Peace is the quiet that fills the room after a hard talk held in patience. It is the steady pulse under the skin when truth meets tenderness. Allow peace to be practical. It keeps watch so sleep can arrive. I offer another breath practice to align truth and love. Breathe in and think of a single honest fact, small and true. Breathe out and imagine that fact being held softly in a pair of hands. Repeat slowly. Each cycle reminds the body that truth can be tender. The rhythm acts like a metronome for worry. Follow it. Let the pulse settle. Community holds this harmony. 2. Many small lamps together mark a path safer than any single one. When friends practice truth in love, a pattern forms. That pattern is shelter. It does not remove trials. It fortifies the nights. Share small things with gentle people. Let the exchange be short and direct. Let kindness meet the plainness. Or team. The chain of small acts becomes a harbor. Mercy and peace also meet in the way you talk to yourself. The inner critic likes to rehearse disasters. When it speaks, notice its tone. Reply with one quiet sentence that is truthful and kind. Not a sermon, not a long debate. A simple reality this night is hard, and I will care for myself tonight. Say it with a hand on the heart. The body begins to learn a different grammar truth, followed by kindness. There are practical ways to set the room for this harmony. Dim the light. Lay a folded cloth within reach. Put a cup of water by the bed. These small steps send signals to the nervous system. The body learns to expect care. Expectation changes sleep. It makes the approach gentler. Sometimes the harmonizing shows up in surprising smallness. A quiet forgiveness passed along in a note. A neighbor who mows a lawn without mention. A child who leaves a small drawing on the table. These small acts gather like pebbles in a pocket. They make a weight that steadies hands. They are the proofs of grace and mercy arriving with truth. If anger or fear resists, do a small movement. Stand and stretch gently. Shake the hands once. Place both palms on the stomach and breathe slowly. Motion helps the mind step away from a single spiraling thought. The body moves and the thought loses its tightness. Little shifts like this break the spell of anxiety. When doubt asks whether truth could ever be gentle, remember the image of two notes becoming a chord. The chord does not hide dissonance. It includes it and transforms it. Let that transformation be your practice. Begin with one honest thought and one small kindness. Wear the kindness as if it were a soft scarf. The scarf keeps the truth from biting. Compassion toward others follows naturally from this harmony. When truth is held lovingly, others feel safer to be honest. The household becomes a place for repair. Meals grow calmer, conversations slow. The absence of judgment is its own kind of mercy. Provide space for mistakes without pretending they do not matter. Repair follows small, steady steps. If sleep does not come quickly, return to a simple cycle. Breathe in truth. Breathe out love. Repeat. Let the breath be slow enough to feel. Let the lamp cast a small circle. Let the Bible lie open like a friend's hand between the pages. These small details keep watch. Mercy and truth together. Make a promise, not that the night will be easy, but that nothing must be hidden from care. That promise steadies the pulse. It makes small rest possible. It turns heavy thoughts into things that can be set down for a while. There is a final practice I invite before the page turns. Close the eyes lightly. Bring to mind one truth you do not want to deny. Let it be modest. It could be gratitude for one small kindness, a fact about a task done, or a memory of a gentle face. Breathe in and hold that truth for a slow beat. Breathe out and imagine it wrapped in mercy, gentle, forgiving, steadfast. Let the image sink into the bones. Rest in that image for as long as you need. Let the harmony of truth and love hum quietly in the room. If sleep arrives, it will come beneath that hum. If it waits, keep the hand on the chest a while longer and repeat the slow breathing. The presence of grace is near. Mercy softens the edges. Peace follows the gentle chord. I close the Bible slowly, careful not to hurry. The lamp stays low. The night listens. I remain here a little while, breathing the same rhythm, turning pages like soft steps. Grace, mercy, and peace rest where truth is held in love. Let that resting be enough for tonight. When the morning comes, the harmony will still be there. Steady and patient, ready to meet the day with a gentle, honest heart. Shazan. Faith overcomes 1 John 5:4. I open the book and let the page settle in my lap. The line I hold tonight says faith offers victory over the noise of the world. I do not speak in proofs. I tell a memory. Years ago, I cross a river at dusk. The ferry is small and steady. The water looks deep and a little hungry in the half-light. I have with me a small pack and a list of weights in my head. The list hums like a refrigerator. Work worries. A restless schedule. Old hurts that prick at the edges when the day grows thin. A woman steps on with me. She carries nothing heavy. Her hands are clean. She does not look like someone hardened by the river. She smiles. Quietly. I do not start a sermon. I watch the movement of her hands as they fold a small blanket on the bench. The motion is simple. It has no grand vocabulary. It calms the passengers around us. The boat moves out. The ferry's light makes a small path across the water. The engine breathes steady. I feel the usual small panics. What if the current takes us? What if time runs out? Then I notice the woman's posture. Her shoulders are relaxed. Her eyes look at the dark without flinching. The calm in her breath seems to come from somewhere deeper than thought. She tells me later only in a line that is not dramatic, but clear that she has learned to place her small fears in one particular place each night. She calls it a shelf. Not a big shelf. A narrow one. She sets one worry there. A loose thing that can be handled the next day. She trusts something steady to hold the rest. I try the practice on the ferry. I take one worry from the usual list and place it on my imagined shelf. My hands are empty. The motion is as small as folding a napkin. The shoulders ease. The breath lengthens. The river does not change course. The light on the water does not grow brighter, but the knot in my chest feels looser. That is the shape of faith I read about. Not a sudden vanishing of all trouble, rather a steady confidence that something good holds while I sleep. Faith is like a foundation under a house. When wind comes, the house leans into its base and does not crumble. The foundation does not shout. It simply supports. Faith also acts as a lantern for restlessness. Imagine a lamp beside the bed that you trust. When the mind begins to scroll through the night's hypothetical tragedies, you let the hand fall on the lamp. You do not try to solve every imagined problem. You only bring the lamp nearer. The light does not banish all shadows. It softens edges so the mind stops searching for every hidden thing. Try this now with me. Slowly, breathe in for 3 counts. Hold 1. Breathe out for 5. With each out-breath, imagine placing a single small worry on a shelf. Name it quietly in the mind. Then let it rest. Do not pile the shelf. One item at a time is enough. Allow the breath to match the action. The body notices. The heart follows. Faith gives a different rhythm to the night. Instead of a frantic checklist, there is a steady cycle notice. Name. Place. Breathe. It does not mean the worries cease. They still knock sometimes. Yet when they come, there is a practiced habit of setting them aside. That habit changes how the night holds you. On other nights, I read about children who sleep under simple roofs and wake with steady faces because someone loved them through the dark. The smallest acts become proof of faith. A parent's hand on a forehead, a neighbor's cup left on a doorstep, a message that says only you are seen. These are not large miracles. They are the daily mechanics of trust. Think of faith as a careful gardener. It waters slowly. It covers tender roots with mulch. It does not rearrange the weather. It rearranges the immediate soil so roots can drink more easily. The restlessness in the heart is not uprooted at once. It is tended. Over months and years, the small tending yields sturdier growth. When fear grows loud, remember the ferry and the woman with the folded blanket. Remember the shelf and the small lamp. You do not need an answer to every question tonight. You only need a hand that knows where to place one burden for a while. Faith gives that hand. If sleep still resists, place a hand where the ribs rise. Breathe in slowly. Imagine faith like a warm thread running from the sternum down into the belly. With each out-breath, the thread pulls a little tension out. The practice is gentle. It is not sudden. It invites the body to learn a new habit, to trust that a foundation holds. I close the page with a quiet thanks. I do not promise a night without trouble. I promise a practice. Faith is not a magic for easy nights. It is the steady presence that offers rest in the midst of difficulty. I keep the lamp low and the book open. The quiet hum of the room holds the rhythm of my breathing. I stay a moment longer to match that pace. Before we close, practice one last breathing pattern together. Inhale slowly through the nose for a count of 4. Hold a gentle beat. Exhale through the mouth for a count of 6. As you exhale, imagine the love of God settling over you. See it like a soft sweep of light across the shoulders. Picture the love as a blanket pressed gently down. The blanket does not smother. It comforts. It keeps you safe. It knows how to be both near and unobtrusive. It lets you rest within your own pace. I place one final image before you. Imagine an old friend sitting at the foot of your bed. They do not speak. They simply sit and breathe with you. Their presence is sure. They do not hurry your sleep. They steady your rhythm. When you wake, the friend stays nearby and smiles. The world feels a little less solitary. I close the Bible now, but I do not leave you. The closing is careful and tender. The book lies on the table like a companion. The light in the room grows softer still. I lower my voice until it is only a whisper of pages. Rest in the warmth of presence. Let the love that blankets you be enough. Sleep comes like a small, patient knock. Open the door slowly. Walk into the dark that is gentled by mercy. Walk into the hush that prepares you for morning. If your sleep is thin, do not punish yourself. Return to this breathing. Return to the image of the blanket. Each return is an act of faith, small and true. The habit of coming back is itself a mercy. When morning finds you, it will be a renewal by degrees. Grace will meet the tasks. One small step at a time. You will not be asked to carry what the night has borne for you. Take one soft breath and stand. I will sit here until the breath deepens and the body relaxes. I read slowly for you. I keep the lamp low and watch over the room. The Bible rests in my hands like a familiar map. I turn the page only when you are ready to go on. If sleep already holds you, enter it without fear. If you wake in the night, remember this place. Place your palm over the heart. Breathe in the remembered warmth. Breathe out and set down what you can. Rest now. Let God's presence be a blanket of peace. Let the love that steadies you wrap around the edges of the day. Sleep like a kind guest who arrives with no demands. Tomorrow comes with renewed grace. I will stay here a little while, reading softly until the slow rhythm of the room matches yours. When we turn the final page together, let it be with the knowledge that you are wrapped in gentle care. Good night.